Hello and one and all, I'm Joseph back here and welcome to another review. On today's review I shall be continuing the Bond film series. And we are on the 18th Bond film, and that is Tomorrow Never Dies. So Tomorrow Never Dies is the second Bond film to star Pierce Brosnan. It's the 18th Bond film, as I just said. It's released in 1997, same year released when Titanic came out. And guys, like my other reviews, this is going to contain spoilers, so you have been warned. So let's talk about this. And as I say with my Bond reviews, this is my best talking about these movies, like my other movie reviews. And yeah, let's get started, shall we? So this is the first Bond film that has the title that has nothing to do with Bond, because, you know, if you think about all the Bond films, you know, from Doctor No up to Octopussy, those were considered Bond novels along with The Living Daylights. And A View to a Kill is mentioned in one of the novel books. And License to Kill is a phrase that Bond uses. And GoldenEye is part of the Jamaican planet somewhere. But I don't know the whole thing, but yeah. I'm a Bond fan, but I don't know the whole thing, but still. Tomorrow Never Dies is the first Bond film to have an official title that has nothing to do with Bond. Completely different. They originally were going to name this Tomorrow Never Lies, which I think could have been a good idea. But hey, we had a Bond film before that had Die in there, Live and Let Die. And now we got other Bond films that have Die in there, like Die Another Day and No Time to Die, which is coming out soon. So, without complaining, let's get on with the film. And we are getting our usual gun barrel sequence with Pierce Brosnan. Again, perfect performance in all the gun barrel sequences he's in. And for the first time, we have David Arnold composing the Bond theme. And it's the first time that you hear the current sort of Bond thing. I mean, it gets mixed in the newer films, but still, I love David Arnold's music. You know, he composes from here, Tomorrow Never Dies, all the way to Quantum of Solace, I believe. And then Thomas Newman did Skyfall and Spectre. And Hans Zimmer is doing No Time to Die. Hallelujah. But anyways, you get this sort of action going on. You know, Bond's on a plane, you know, there's explosions going on. And yeah, there's nothing really much going on. It's just action going on. And I like how the fire leads onto the titles. Which is actually pretty good titles, actually. I actually like the titles. The song's not great. It's nothing really special. I mean, I would have loved if they would have had the Tomorrow Never Dies song at the end credits with the title credits, opening credits, because it just kind of sounds more appealing. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why they chose this, but it's not all bad. But I just wish they would have used the ending song to add the opening titles. But anyway, now Tomorrow Never Dies. Now look, as much as there is good action going on, which I'll get into soon, this Bond film is pretty boring in certain places. It's pretty forgettable. It's first of all, let's have a look at the characters. So the villain is called Elliot Carver. You know, I'm not a fan of the villain. He's just another bluffer. But no, he does not have a cat. I know, but he's just kind of a villain who doesn't really anything apart from just talking about shit, really. But yeah, I mean, Pierce Brosnan is still a good Bond. I still like him in the role as Bond. It's just the script writing to most of his movies that just didn't work so much. But yes, we will get into his next 2 movies. And the Bond girl in this is called Wai Lin, who I will say is a really good Bond girl, and we'll get into her soon. Well, we'll talk about her now, actually. She's probably one of the more kick-ass Bond girls. You know, you get a lot of Bond girls that go in action going on. You know, like Triple X in Spy Who Loved Me and Dr. Goodhead in Moonraker. Well, Wai Lin is probably one of the best Bond girls to do that. Like, you can tell she's trained so well, especially in the final act of the film. Like, she's really good in the action sequences. And it's great to see all the usual MI6 characters back, like Judi Dench as M, Desmond as Q, and Samantha Bond as Miss Moneypenny. Now, and I really like the Q scene where Bond and Q are discussing this new BMW. Well, despite the fact that BMW is not really Bond, I actually kind of like how they use a controller to actually move the car, and which leads on to a good action sequence, which I really love in the tunnel. And I also love the scene where Bond is going past all these brown barrels, and then you hear the Bond thing play 3 times. You know, it's a great scene. If you don't know what I mean, watch the movie again, and you'll see what I mean. There's also a really good scene where you get this sort of henchman, if I can, Dr. Kaufman. Yeah, Kauf man. Yeah, it's a scene where after one of the Bond girls gets killed, I think. I'm sorry, this Bond film's very forgettable, but you know, it's a great scene. And he's like, I'm just a professional, whatever, and Bond's like, me too. You know, that's a great scene. That is Bond. I love that. The action's great, and I love the motorbike scene with Bond and Wai Lin. You know, it's great. Another thing that I kind of find bleh is a Stamper, who is like the henchman of this movie. But I don't know. I cannot really say much about this movie because, come on, I really wanted to get something out of this movie because I hear this is Brosnan's second best Bond film, and I know I've seen all these movies before, but people said this is his second best Bond film with Pierce Brosnan, but to be honest, it's kind of not really saying much because I just cannot get behind the whole story. I find it kind of boring in certain places. I mean, I like the Q scene, I like all the action that's going on, and I like the water action going on, which is a callback to Spy Who Loved Me. And I also like the line where, "You forgot the first rule of my speedy act," whatever that line was, you know, when Bond is trying to kill the villain. But I love David Arnold's score. It's great here. I mean, you do have some good things going on in Tomorrow Never Dies. It's just, yeah, I have nothing else to say about Tomorrow Never Dies. But overall, guys, Tomorrow Never Dies, it's just kind of a mediocre Bond film in my opinion. And, you know, Brosnan's still a great Bond. Wai Lin is easily one of the standouts of the film. You know, she kicks a lot of ass. And the action sequences, they're all great. And I also love the scene where Bond and Wai Lin go through Illich Carver's sort of picture. It goes in half. They're going down through the building. You know, that's a good scene. I like that. And I like the Q scene. It's great to see all the MI6 characters back, even though they don't really show much. But yeah, Tomorrow Never Dies I just consider to be one of the more forgettable Bond films. I mean, it's got action going on. I mean, I think all the action's great. And the Q scene's great as well, but there are just some elements of it that I just kind of find pretty boring. I mean, there are just some things that I just couldn't really care for. But yeah, guys, I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of Tomorrow Never Dies. I would put it on the lower ranking. I would put it up there with Bond films like Moonraker and A View to a Kill. But overall, guys, Tomorrow Never Dies is just... I'm sorry, guys, it's not my kind of Bond film. But, I mean, I will say, though, it's not a completely bad film. It's not bad. It's just mediocre for me. But on my letter grade scale, I am going to give Tomorrow Never Dies a C+. You know, it's got good action, some good scenes that I like, some good characters, but the villains and some boring elements that just really slow the movie down for me. So, alright guys, that was my review on Tomorrow Never Dies. So, comment down below, let me know what your thoughts on Tomorrow Never Dies are. I'm very curious, let me know below and let's have a great discussion. And guys, comment, like, subscribe, notify the bell before you leave, and share this video as always. All the social media links will be in the description below. And as always, until my next video, folks, I shall see you guys then. And I love you all 3000.